Hola clase, habla la profesora B y hoy vamos a hablar sobre los saludos y las despedidas. So today we're going to be talking about greetings and goodbyes so you can become more familiarized with these greetings and goodbyes in Spanish. Okay? First we're going to learn tú versus usted. Tú is the informal form of you singular. You generally use it for somebody you will call by their first name. Friends, family, siblings is that informal way to refer to you, okay, to one person. And you can use it with, as we said, children, siblings, friends, anybody that you call by their first name, okay? Usted is the formal form of you singular. You generally use it for somebody you call by their last name. Elderly people, business settings, doctors, teachers, police officers. So it's for anybody that you will call by their last name. And so in Spanish, we distinguish depending who we talk to, whether it's tú or usted, the verb form will change. And you have to notice the difference. So here we go. Can we notice the difference between tú and usted? Let's take a look. For example, for tú, you say hola, which means hi. Or you can say buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, which means good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. ¿Cómo te llamas tú versus cómo se llama usted? Just imagine that the usted is not there. Even if it's not there, you have to notice that you say se and then llama for usted, formal way, and then te llamas for tú. So if you're talking to somebody's grandmother, you would have to say ¿Cómo se llama usted? But if you're talking to a child, you will use ¿Cómo te llamas tú? ¿Cómo estás tú versus ¿Cómo está usted? Okay? So ¿Cómo te llamas tú means what is your name or how do you call yourself? ¿Cómo estás tú means how are you? Okay? ¿Qué tal? Is very informal to say what's up. ¿Cómo te va? How's it going? Versus ¿Cómo le va? Changes to le when it's usted form. Y tú, y usted, and you, right? ¿Cuál es su nombre? What is your name? Okay. So tú is your informal and su is your formal. If you notice, this one has an accent and this one doesn't. And it's because when you say tu nombre, you're saying your name. Is a possessive, indicating possession, belonging to you. But tú is a personal pronoun. When you say you know, how are you? Instead of your. That's why it has an accent to distinguish you from your. ¿Dónde vives tú? Where do you live? Versus ¿Dónde vive usted? So the tú form has an S most of the time. Vives, estás, llamas, right? Has an S. Te presento a Ana means let me introduce you to Ana. Le presento a Carlos. So if you're introducing your friend to your grandmother, you will usually use le presento a Carlos. But if you're introducing a friend to your brother, then you say te presento a Ana, for example. Useful expressions. Mucho gusto. You should repeat after me. Mucho gusto. Encantado. Encantada. Igualmente. El gusto es mío. Un placer. Bueno, tengo que irme. So you can say mucho gusto and you will say igualmente. O encantado if it's a male. And if you're a female, you say encantada. So for me, I will say encantada, referring to myself. So if you're a man, you have to say encantado. Doesn't matter who you're speaking to, right? So that one has feminine and masculine. So when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you can say mucho gusto. You can say encantado o encantada. El gusto es mío. Un placer. There are many choices. And then the person who will say likewise can say igualmente. Goodbyes. How do I say goodbyes? Adiós. Ciao. Informal. Hasta luego. Hasta mañana. Hasta pronto. Nos vemos. Right? See you later. Okay? So you have some greetings and goodbyes for you to be familiarized with. ¿Cómo nos dirigimos a estas personas? ¿Tú o usted? How do we address these people? ¿Tú o usted? So you are addressing the baby. Would you say, ¿cómo te llamas tú? Or ¿cómo se llama usted? Tú, right? Because he's a baby. You're talking to a baby. So you say, ¿cómo te llamas tú? To Prince Charles, el príncipe Carlos, what would you say? ¿Cómo estás tú? Or ¿cómo está usted? Usted, right? So I would say, ¿cómo está usted? So remember, the usted form has no S. ¿Cómo te llamas tú o cómo se llama usted? ¿Cómo te llamas tú, huh? Because they're young people. ¿Cómo estás tú o cómo está usted? ¿Cómo estás tú, right? To the dogs you would, even though if they're older, you would say, ¿cómo estás tú? ¿Cómo estás tú o cómo está usted al monstruo? To the monster. So you say, ¿cómo estás tú? No, I'll say, ¿cómo está usted? I don't know. I guess you can pick for that one. Hola o buenas tardes. To the doctor, what would you say? Buenas tardes is more formal. Okay, you don't say hi. It's very informal in Spanish. Hola. Expresiones de cortesía. Gracias, por favor. De nada. No hay de qué. Lo siento. Perdón. Con permiso. Okay? So when somebody says gracias, you say de nada. Or you can say no hay de qué. Or if you want to say please, you say una Coca-Cola, por favor. And when you want to say sorry, you say lo siento. Perdón and con permiso can be pardon me or excuse me. So when do you use one or the other? So let me show you here. Perdón versus con permiso. Pardon me, excuse me, perdón is used before or after the fact. Example, you want to get their attention or ask a question, you stepped on their foot, then you say perdón, okay? Con permiso is used before the fact. Example, going through people in a movie theater, then you have to say con permiso, and you can say both, con permiso, perdón, but you have to do it after the fact. Okay? So, usually before the fact is con permiso, it means with permission. So you go with permission through people and bothering them. Okay? So, which expression would you use in the following situations? Write them in a piece of paper at home and pause right here and then come back to look at the answers, okay? So here are the answers. Okay, so it's good for you to keep studying the terms and try to use them, okay? And then we'll keep practicing with other exercises. Okay, that's it for now. See you later. Bye. Hasta pronto.